May 19th, Friday, 6:40 Mountain Time, 2017. Story coming out of The Guardian today about the Arctic seed vault. Built back in 2000 and I think it was 2007, opened in 2008. Deep in the permafrost of the Arctic Circle, this structure houses all of the seeds known to humanity in a structure that can withstand any natural or man-made disaster. But one thing they didn't take into consideration was melting water. That's right. The Doomsday Vault failed. Didn't even make it to Doomsday. Unbelievable, man. They didn't think this place would ever thaw. They're blaming it on soaring temperatures at the end of the world's hottest ever recorded year led to melting heavy rain, which should have been light snow. And they never thought this would happen up there. And another thing I'm sure that they didn't consider was higher UV levels. But either way, if this was my project, and this was my Doomsday Vault to design and build, rest assured, one of the very first things I would have ever considered would be waterproof. There's water right out here in front of it. It would have been waterproof from the get-go, but wasn't mine to design.
Good afternoon, everyone. Polar region, May, below normal temperatures. We'll move on to the record-breaking blizzard across Colorado and the central states. 36 inches of global warming is falling in this historic winter storm Valerie, pushing all the way down to the border of Mexico, dropping snow. 3 feet in Colorado. Nice if you're summer skiing. So far, these are the totals. Cheyenne, they're worried about roofs collapsing because it's that heavy, wet snow. Roads blocked. And there's more snow on the way. This is the 19th. This is pushing through the 20th. The heaviest snow hasn't even arrived yet. Oh, and another cyclonic low about to decimate more of the crops that were up in the fields. But the mainstream media will never tell you that.
In the past few years, peculiar and unexplained phenomena has been appearing in the sky all over the world. Global observations indicate that unusual sky phenomena continue to escalate in both frequency and intensity. So people are asking questions. What are those weird lights in the sky? What are those strange clouds? Why are we seeing unusual halos and rings around the sun and the moon? Why are so many asteroids coming dangerously close to the Earth these days? Why so many blood moons and rare solar eclipses these past few years? These are all legitimate questions, and they deserve an honest answer. Unfortunately, there are very few who are willing to come forward with answers that will satisfy the concerns of an observant community. It's better to remain silent on this subject than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt, thus creating pandemonium among the masses. Will these strange sightings and manifestations in the sky intensify? It certainly seems so if you are among the most observant. Ice halos are becoming a more frequent sky phenomenon in large part due to the changes in the upper atmosphere, causing ice crystals to form on a more consistent basis. Unusual and complex solar halos were once thought to be an anomaly that occurred on average once a year, or in many cases once in a lifetime. But we are now seeing them more frequently. Halos bestow a delicate beauty to the skies and tell us about the crystals inhabiting the clouds. But they do not tell us how they were seeded, thus determining whether this particular manifestation will continue. Intense storms are now becoming a serious threat for many people. Ominous cloud formations with devastating winds and hail are the new norm. One of the most impressive weather phenomenon photographed on May 11th in Oklahoma was a supercell storm that was so named as the Gate to Hell, which accurately describes this storm from the looks of these photographs. There is another cloud formation that is just as ominous in appearance as supercells. And these particular clouds are referred to as mammatus clouds. They swallowed up the sky over Colorado prior to an enormous hailstorm that wreaked havoc on the Denver metro area on May 8th. Take a look at the magnitude of this recent hailstorm.
Is Christian persecution. It says that in the latter days, speaking of now, we Christians will be persecuted for his name's sake. Well, check out this report, and this is actually from foxnews.com, titled, "Christians are the most persecuted group in the world as vicious attacks grow." Now that's a report straight from Fox News, of all places, stating that Christian persecution is now the most highly persecuted group. This was not so about 10 years ago. This was not so about 20 or 30 years ago. But today, in our day and age, Christian persecution has managed to hit the top of the list, especially with the Islamic jihadists rising and the fact that their number one target is Christianity. Well, that's not all. Also in the Bible, it talks about waters turning to blood, and that in the latter days, during the tribulation period, a time of untold horrors, that the waters would be turned to blood. Well, I did some research on this, and I'm going to throw some reports on the screen. But blood water has been spotted in Iran's Lake Irma, Russia's Siberian River, Australia's Sydney Beach, Egypt's Nile River, Chinese Zongting River, Florida's creeks at Manuel's Branch, lagoons in Mexico. Spain had blood-colored rain water, waterfall in Antarctica, and the list goes on. In Revelation 16:4, it states this: "A third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs of water, and they became blood red." That is the prophecy that specifically talks about waters turning a blood color. Obviously, many are due to algae blooms and certain phenomena that have been happening. But either way, I guess that's for you to decide. But the waters are turning a blood red color. With that, how about mass animal die-off? In Hosea chapter 4, verses 1 through 3, it states this: "Hear the word of the Lord. For the Lord hath controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there's no truth, mercy, knowledge in the land. They swear, they lie, they kill, they steal, and commit adultery. And they murder. Blood touches blood. Therefore the land will mourn, and everyone that dwells in there shall languish. The beast of the field, the fowls of the air, and yes, the fish of the sea shall be taken away." Now that is a prophecy that specifically talks about death, mass animal deaths all across the world. Is that something that we're seeing? Well, check out this report on the screen. Now, this is from a website that constantly monitors the death of animals, and I encourage everyone to go there and look through it. But the site is endtimeprophecy.org. And as you can see on the screen, there's been hundreds of thousands of animal deaths. So far, this year alone, thousands of bird. This month alone, thousands of bird, 2,200 reindeer, 18,000 cattle, and then 10,000 cattle, thousands of fish, turtles, 50,000 hens, 41 humpback whales, and the list goes on. And that's just in the month of April. Truth be told, there are more mass animal deaths that are increasing in intensity year after year after year. What about peace in Israel? The Bible talks about during the latter days that there's going to come a time where the Antichrist signs a peace deal with Israel. Now, let me clarify. Some Christians believe that's a possibility. Some don't. Some have a different view. There's different views within Christianity. But many believe in a 7-year tribulation period and that some sort of peace deal will be brokered between the Antichrist and the nation of Israel. Well, in the news the other day, I pulled out a report that told specifically of that event. Now, this is from www.jerusalempost.com. Arab-Israeli conflict. Abbas has decided to sign a peace deal with Israel. Now, it is in this report in which I detail that Donald Trump has managed to convince Abbas to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu in person in order to come to a peace negotiation and a peace deal. Now, the Bible talks about a peace deal that will be brokered. Let me preface, there have been multiple peace deals that have broken between these two Israel and Palestine, multiple, but none have met the 7-year requirement in biblical prophecy. But again, anytime a peace deal is brokered, well, it's something to keep an eye on, I think, biblically speaking.
Yazıklar.
Ya Peygamber, ya Peygamber, ya Peygamber, ya Peygamber.